What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to another YouTube video, and today we're taking a look at another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film review. This one's a little different though, because this is a made-for-TV film, which is films that don't air in cinemas, they don't air in theatres, they just air on normal cartoon channels or film channels or just on TV in where you can watch it at home. Not a streaming service film, like a normal channel film, like a normal television, like the old TV that we all used to watch, like Channel 4, CITV, something like that. And this was Nickelodeon's attempt at the Turtles one. They've made plenty of these sort of made-for-TV films, but this is a three-part special. It is called, as an overarching series, it's called Raphael Mutant Apocalypse, and it's an older withered ref, battles road gangs in a post-apocalyptic mutant wasteland. And this was the last three episodes of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2012 animated series to ever air on Nickelodeon and air in general. The series was cancelled after this one. It was called Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and that's where it sort of slotted in. But it starts off with the Wasteland Warrior, then the Impossible Desert, and the last one is Camonedon. Sorry if I did say that wrong. I do struggle with reading. But although they were the last to air, Nickelodeon doesn't count them as canon to the series. So how it all starts in episode 1 with Warrior Wasteland is, it starts with Raphael fighting a couple of other biker clans, trying to survive in the desert, Mad Max style, all alone on a bike. He then rescues this young girl who is an animal. I think she's like a ferret or an otter or some kind of weasel-looking creature. And he goes around and he doesn't know where his brothers are. He doesn't know if they're alive. He's on his own. He's lonely, and he's still battling and fighting for good like a good ninja would. But again, it's very reminiscent of the 2007 movie where he goes off on his own and wears this big bulky armor and fights crime like a vigilante. So he's basically become a vigilante, which Raphael normally turns into anyway, like in the original 1998 movies. He did go out in the trench coat to become the vigilante, and that's how he bumped into Casey Jones. But here, he turns into the vigilante, not by choice, but because of what happened. And we do get gradual flashbacks, and I do like this 3-episode short movie because it gradually feeds us information. It doesn't give us it all from the get-go. It's not a linear story. It's broken up bit by bit, and we find out more as the series goes on. So we see Raph traveling through the desert, but we also learn about why he's traveling through the desert, what happened to him, and why all the other turtles are like this gradually as the episodes keep going on and going on. And I like that. It's like a broken, choppy story, and it all comes to a whole at the end, and it all comes to a solid conclusion at the end. And I really like that story, because it leaves mystery, it leaves you to try and work stuff out for yourself, and I really like that. I don't like being like spoon-fed each and every drop of information that like a show or a movie has. I like to work stuff out for myself. I like to learn along with the characters and sort of grow with the characters and find out more as the characters do. I don't know, it just feels like a better way of telling a story, and I much prefer that story type. You might not prefer that story type, but that's okay. And this 3-part film didn't do that well. It didn't do well at all, and I think they were just running out of ideas for these turtles. It did run on for 5 seasons, and then it got this special, and then it was ended, which is unfortunate because this is the Turtles, which I really did like. It's what got me back into the Turtles since being gone for so long, and I watched every episode religiously, even if I'd already seen it. If it was on Nickelodeon, boom, I'd shove it on. And it was just such a great version of the Turtles. I really liked this iteration of the Turtles. But anyway, getting back to the 3-part series. In the first episode, we're introduced to Raph, and by the end of it, he meets Donnie, who has turned himself into a robot because his real body was decaying and dying. We have the second episode, where the Impossible Desert, he meets Michelangelo, Ice Cream Cat, and his old pet turtle, which is now a giant turtle. And they ride that turtle across the Impossible Desert, which leads into episode 3, where they find the mutant warlord, which is actually Leo, and he's absolutely swole. He's fully mutated, and he's mutated again, and you can see like the mutagen running through his veins and in his glowing eyes. He keeps repeating this one word, and it's like a sentence, but it's all shoved into one word. It's like he's trying to remember something, and you have to work out what he's trying to remember, and it all gets solved by the end. And it's just such a wholesome moment with them all cuddling together. But let's get to how this actually came to be. So the Krang set off a mutagen bomb, and in this timeline, they didn't manage to stop it. In the other timeline, they did manage to stop it. So this is an alternate timeline thing, and everyone in New York got mutated. It created a giant apocalyptic desert wasteland of just mutants and creatures, so there is no more humans. We don't know what happened to Casey or April, but Donatello's body decayed and he turned himself into a robot, and I think he's a pretty cool looking robot given that. We also have Mikey, who hid out in like an ice cream pizza parlor, one of the last few standing, and he turned into like this monk character. And then we had Leo, who pushed his brothers away when the explosion went off to save them, so he took pretty much the frontal, like the biggest blast out of all three of them, and that's why he mutated the most, and that's why he forgot who he was, and he's repeating the last thing he said before he pushed his brothers as a way to try and remember, and it's the only word he can say until Raph, Donnie, Mikey fight him and calm him down and bring him back to reality, like bring him back down, calm him down, and he starts talking normal again. And I like that. It was also a really big twist that Leo was the warlord, because everyone thought it was going to be like Raph's turtle, which got mutated in the main series and turned into Spike, which is the black bandanaed turtle. But I guess this is the 2012's iteration of The Last Ronin, which is started because of a mutagen bomb, and it created an apocalyptic style event, which ended up turning it into something more along the lines of Mad Max. Mad Max has had a very big sort of impact on many different shows and films, given that there is a Mad Max episode in pretty much everything now. But I like the character models for Donatello and Raphael. I don't like the new Mikey design, his like monk-esque vibe. I don't know, it just doesn't look good. He looks like a creepy old man, and I just don't think that's a good look for Mikey. I do understand, without the rest of his brothers, why he would go hide with Ice Cream Kitty in a pizza shop and just hide out there. Pretty much infinite supply of food, and he could just live out the rest of his days chilling with Pizza Cat. Not a care in the world. And then Donatello obviously turning himself into a robot. Again, that's pretty on character. But Leo being the big bad villain that's taking on the wasteland, being corrupted by the mutagen bomb, I think that's a really cool plot twist, and one that I did not expect to see. He seems to have got, like, stupid, but muscle for brains. He seemed to have, like, swapped places with Raph in this, and again, it's heavily focused on Raph. Raph seems to be the main turtle in most turtle media, with most of it focusing on him and how he's dealing with his brothers. Like in Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it's Raph that is trying to keep everyone in check, try and keep everyone safe, whereas in the 2007 one, it focuses on Raph being a vigilante and how he felt abandoned. And then again in the 2014 movie, it was him who rescued his brothers. So it's always seemed to be having a bigger focus on Raph And I suppose you can do more with Raph's character, as he's always angry and he's muscle-brained and he just wants to protect and love his brothers, but he does it in his own way, and he has anger issues. But this new weasel-like character, this meerkat character, she was only there to push Raph forward and keep Raph going. She was only there for, like, support of Raph and keep him going, keep him sane, and keep him alive, give him something to fight for, because he was giving up at the start of this film. He wasn't prepared to keep going, and he was running low on supplies, and it was just a last sort of resort thing. But here they are all together at the end with everyone coming together. Raph did have a beard, and Mikey does have hair. I didn't know that was even possible. I'm just going to put it down to the mutagen bomb that made them have the ability to grow hair. But Michelangelo looks pretty weak and pretty skinny. Obviously, Raph got buff, and he is wearing his sort of do-rag. That's what I'm going to call it. He seems to be wearing that in every iteration of the Turtles after the 2014 movie. He's just adopted the do-rag. But it does end on this nice photo of the Turtles. And it is this photo that keeps Raph going. It's Splinter and all four of them all together back when everything first started and when everything was normal. And this was a really good 3-part story. There was a lot of mystery to it. It was brand new. It was something new to watch. You didn't really know what to expect from it. You didn't know why it was like this, or why the Turtles looked like this, or why the Turtles changed. It didn't really have any knowledge when you first got into it. It's through Raph's flashbacks and Raph's shattered memories that you start to learn and realize what everything actually is. And I think it's a pretty good way to end the Turtles. It ends with them coming back together and being able to be together no matter what. Even if they do fail in saving the New York City, they can still come back together and work together and be together as brothers. And it's just a really good family story that even through the apocalypse, they can still stick together and find a way to find each other. And I just think it's a sweet, heartwarming story. And they're not teens in this, they are definitely adults. Again, Raph having a big beard, and Mikey having old grey hair, and being a monk, and has lost several of his teeth. I really don't like Mikey's design. I cannot stress this enough, how awful his design is. Just look at that on screen. Just look at that. The animation for 2012 is really good. It is the first 3D Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series since the 2007 one. The 2007 one was a movie, though. This is a full-fledged series in this 3D animation style. And I do believe the only one in this 3D animation style, because it went back to 2D with Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But I really do like this art style. I don't know, something about it is just really good to me. I just assume it's nostalgia, because it does look like clay, and it does look like plastic. And I guess it's an easier way to make merchandise and collectibles from this type of drawing and art style, because the Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle figures look absolutely atrocious, but these figures looked accurate to the characters. Anyway, it had really good story. I really enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the mystery to it. The animation is okay. Nostalgia vibes are bumping up for me. The voice actors, again, they are what set the sort of standard for turtle voices for me. I really like Michelangelo's voice actor. He's so good. He also does Beast Boy. He does so many amazing voices, and he's just such a good guy. But I don't know. This is what set the turtle standard of voices for me, and it has really weirded me out with each new iteration of the Turtles having such dramatically drastic change of voice from this. I don't know. This was just how I imagined them to sound and have them sound forever in my head. But it was a really good 3-part film, and I am going to give it... I am a huge fan of the Turtles, and the 2012 Turtles is one of my favourite series, if not my favourite series of the Turtles. And it just set the bar for Turtle series for me. I just think everything that they did in it was so creative and so unique, and I just liked it compared to other Turtle media. It was just magnifique. It's what reignited my love for the Turtles after the 2003 series ended, because that's what I used to watch. That was like my childhood Turtles, and the intro for that one still slaps, but the intro for this one also slaps because I remember it off by heart. But again, I still think it deserves that solid 8. Other than that, bye-bye.